Okay, do we have everyone we need?
I believe so.
Mr. Herman?
Yeah, Your Honor, my client's here.
Aye. This is in the District Court of Trego County, Kansas, case number 14 DM 14. It's in the matter of the marriage of Logan. Uh, is it? Is it
Keyswetter, Your Honor. Keyswetter.
Logan Kieswetter and Caitlin Kieswetter? I have an announcement of appearances, please.
May it please the court, the petitioner appears with his attorney, Andrew J. Walter.
May it please the court, Caitlin Kieswetter appears via televideo conference and with counsel Alex Herman, Herman Law Office.
Okay. We are on for an order to appear and show cause on an application for contempt of court filed by Mr. Walter back on November 30th. Have the parties had a chance to speak about this?
We have not, Your Honor.
Do the parties wish to speak with one another about this before we proceed?
I would defer to Mr. Walter, Your Honor.
I think we just move forward with the hearing, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Walter, it's your motion.
Your Honor, I would call Logan Keyswetter.
Mr. Kieswetter, would you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear and or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, subject to the penalties for perjury in the state of Kansas?
I will.
And you're currently in the state of Kansas?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. You may put your hand down. Go ahead, Mr. Walter.
Thank you, Your Honor. Can you please state your name for the court?
Logan Kieswetter?
And Mr. Keyswetter, are you the petitioner in this case?
Yes.
And did you file an application for order to appear and show cause on November 30th of 2023?
Yes.
And does that application for order to appear and show cause allege that Ms. Keyswetter denied you parenting time the weekend of November 10, 2023 through November 12, 2023?
Yes.
And does that application allege that Ms. Keyswetter enrolled your minor child in extracurricular activities that were going to occur during your parenting time without first getting your consent?
Yes.
What was that?
We re-asked that question.
Does that application for order to appear and show cause allege that Ms. Keyswetter enrolled your minor child in activities that were to occur during your parenting time without first getting your consent?
Yes.
You and Ms. Keyswetter entered into a parenting plan through a mediation agreement on August 15, 2016. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And that mediation agreement gave you parenting time not less than 3 weekends per month.
That is correct.
And the mediation agreement gave you parenting time Fridays at 3 p.m. to Sundays at 6 p.m.
Yes.
Did you and Ms. Keyswetter mutually agree to modify that mediation agreement?
Yes.
And was that in approximately 2018?
Yes.
And what was the modification to that mediation agreement?
Every other weekends, we would meet at 5:30 in Hill City because she lives in Hayes and I live in Norton. So that's the halfway point. And so it doesn't work out, an hour and a half. So we decided to meet on Fridays in Hill City at 5:30 because I get off work at 5. On Sundays, we agreed to meet at 5 in Walkini.
And based upon that schedule, have you and Ms. Keyswetter been following that for the last 5 years now?
Yes.
Based upon that schedule, were you scheduled to have parenting time November 10, 2023 through November 12, 2023?
That is correct.
Did you receive a message from Ms. Keyswetter on November 7, 2023?
Yes.
And do you and Ms. Keyswetter use the Our Family Wizard application to communicate?
That is correct.
And what did Ms. Keyswetter tell you in the first message that you got?
She told me that she wouldn't be able to meet me because she did not have any gas money.
And how did you respond to that?
I tried to work with her I tried to work on some different options that would work best for both of us. That if I came to Hayes to get Oakley, would she be able to come to Norton and pick Oakley up on Sunday? She refused that. I tried my best to work with her, and she didn't work with me.
Did she message you that if you paid your child support, that she would have gas money and could meet you?
Yes.
Have you paid your child support every month while this case has been pending?
Yes.
Your child support was set at $424 in the mediation agreement that was filed with the court on August 15, 2015. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that child support, did you pay your November child support prior to November 10 of 2023?
Yes.
When did you pay it?
November 8th.
And as of November 8, 2023, was your child support still set in the amount of $424 per month?
No.
Had there been some sort of a modification of your child support?
Yes.
Was that done in June of 2023?
Yes.
And did that modify your child support to $510 per month?
That is
Your Honor,
What's your objection, Mr. Herman?
leading.
No, it is leading. I'm assuming this is introductory, but you're taking a long time to get there, Mr. Walter.
I'm just trying to move it along, Your Honor.
Well, let your client answer the questions.
What did your child support amount get modified to?
$510.
And when was that done?
June 23rd.
And when was the court order modifying your child support filed?
You re-ask that again.
The court order that modified your child support, was it filed in June?
Yes.
Your Honor, I just asked the court to take judicial notice of the court record that the child support modification wasn't filed until November 17 of 2023.
Mr. Herman?
Your Honor, I don't have access to e-filing, so I have no idea.
I do. It shows November 17th of 23 is when it was filed. Modifying it to $510 a month beginning December 1st of 22.
Yes, Your Honor. And that's all I was trying to get at, is that wasn't filed until November.
So, but it backdated, so there would have, I assume, been an arrearage in place then at that point.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay.
Despite the order not being filed until November, when did you start paying the $510 per month?
As soon as I was advised, or I received my paperwork, and also that once I received it and saw my new amount that was $510, I started paying it then.
And then when the child support order was entered on November 17, 2023, you weren't notified that that order was actually filed until December or January. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And as soon as you were notified, did you pay the arrearages?
Yes, I did.
Were you denied your parenting time November 10, 2023 through November 12, 2023?
Yes.
Had you paid your child support obligation for November at that time?
Yes.
In January of 2023, did you and Ms. Kieswetter enter into an agreed order regarding activities for your minor child?
That is correct.
And what did that agreed order state?
That we would discuss as parents before enrolling in Oakley in an activity or any sporting event that we would discuss amongst each other before doing so. And then also it said in there that I had 3 days to respond to her message if she would ask me. And if not, that would be me saying yes if I did not.
Okay. Did you receive a message from Miss Kieswetter on November 26, 2023 through our family wizard?
Yes.
What did the contents of that message state?
That she enrolled Oakley in basketball and in volleyball.
And did she provide you with a schedule at that time for the basketball and volleyball?
No, she did not.
On November 26th, in that message, was there a schedule that she provided to you?
Yes.
And there were 5 volleyball tournaments, is that correct?
That is correct.
And
Honor
What's your objection, Mr. Herman?
leading.
Yeah, Mr. Walter, you continue to lead. This is no longer introductory. This is the heart of your motion. So
how many?
ask open-ended questions and allow your client to testify, please.
Understand, Your Honor. I'm just trying to speed this along.
Well, I
How many
understand your desire to speed it along, but we still need to have him testify as to his knowledge.
Yes, Your Honor. How many volleyball tournaments were there, Mr.
There was
Kieswetter?
5.
And of those 5 tournaments, how many of those dates fell on weekends of your parenting time?
3.
And how many basketball tournaments were there?
3. Or 4. I'm sorry, 4.
And of those dates, how many fell on your parenting time?
Um, Three.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your last answer.
Can you ask me that question again?
How many number of basketball tournaments were there?
Sorry, can I look at my notes?
How many number of basketball tournaments were there?
5.
And how many of those dates fell on your parenting time?
3.
When Miss Kieswetter sent you the message on November 26th, did she tell you how much time you had to decide on whether or not to allow your minor child to participate in basketball and volleyball?
Yes, she gave me 24 hours to let her know.
And when you responded, did you agree or disagree with your minor child participating in volleyball and basketball on your weekends?
I did not agree to it.
What's the reason that you objected?
The main reason why I was objected is because, like for volleyball, we were at the football game, at the TMP Oakley football game, and Kate and I discussed that volleyball would be too expensive. And so from that conversation, I was aware that Oakley was not want to do volleyball.
When was the Oakley TMP volleyball game that you and Miss Kieswetter discussed the club volleyball?
It would have been the first week of September.
And then she didn't send you a message until November 26th?
That is correct.
And did Miss Kieswetter tell you how much the club volleyball was going to cost?
At the time of the conversation that we talked, she told me that it would be about $600 and that it was too expensive to make that work. And so from that point on, that's when I was aware of that Oakley would not be doing volleyball.
In the message on November 26, 2023, did Miss Kieswetter tell you whether or not your minor child, Oakley, had already tried out for the volleyball club team?
That is correct.
What is correct?
That Oakley was or has tried, or she went to a tryout. She informed me that Oakley already went to a tryout.
Did Miss Kieswetter tell you before the tryout that Oakley was going?
No.
In regard to the basketball, had you known that Oakley was participating in basketball prior to November 26, 2023?
Yes.
How did you know about that?
I found out from Oakley. Oakley told me. So then I reached out to another parent and I had a few questions on the schedule. And so I ended up getting the schedule from another parent,
When was that?
middle of October.
Did you reach out to Miss Kieswetter after finding out about the schedule?
Yes, I did.
And what did Miss Kieswetter tell you?
She pretty much told me to get it from somebody else.
She didn't provide it to you herself?
No, not until later.
Is the first time Miss Kieswetter provided to you was in the message on November 26, 2023?
Yes, that is correct.
Are you asking the court to find Miss Kieswetter in contempt of your parenting plan?
That is correct.
Are you asking the court to find Miss Kieswetter in contempt of the agreed order that was filed with the court in January of 2023?
That is correct.
Are you asking the court to award you your reasonable attorney fees?
That is correct.
And is that in the amount of $1,890?
Yes.
Are you asking the court to modify the agreed order that was entered on January 9, 2023 to additionally require that whenever a parent receives a schedule for the minor child, that they provide that schedule to the other parent within 24 hours?
That is correct.
Now, are you asking the court to order that you be allowed an additional weekend of parenting time to make up for your missed weekend, November 10, 2023 through November 12, 2023?
That is correct.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Herman.
Mr. Kieswetter, in going back and looking at the child support, the order that was referenced previously was filed in November of 2023. Is that your understanding?
Yes.
Okay. And the arrearage dated back to December of 2022. Is that your understanding?
Yes.
Well?
Yes.
And you recall having court on the motion to modify the child support on February 21st of 2023.
That is correct.
Okay. Do you know why there was such a delay between February of 2023 and November of 2023 from when we had court on the matter to when an order was entered?
Can you ask that question again?
Do you know why there was such a delay of 9 months from when the hearing was held to when that order was filed with the court?
No.
Okay. Do you know whether or not the court trustee was waiting for approval from your attorney on the matter?
No.
Do you know? You did know, though, that child support was being modified.
Yes, that I did know.
And you understood that the child support number was going up at the time that this occurred.
Correct.
And you knew that you hadn't been paying Miss Kieswetter the additional sums that she was going to be owed in child support.
No.
You didn't? You weren't paying her, you're saying, the additional sums?
Mr. Herman, you asked, you knew you were not paying the additional sums, and he said no, answering your double negative, which would to me be a positive that he was paying the increased amount.
So you believe you were paying the increased amount at that time?
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Kieswetter, I understand that co-parenting with someone you're no longer married to can be difficult at times. Is that fair to say?
That is correct.
And oftentimes you have to make concessions that you don't necessarily want to make.
That's correct.
And as you stated, you've done everything you can to try to work with Ms. Kieswetter when there have been issues that come up.
That's correct.
You, when Ms. Kieswetter told you she didn't have money for gas, you offered to pick up your daughter.
That's correct.
Okay. And your solution to that was to also have Miss Kieswetter come pick up Oakley from your house then.
That is correct.
You didn't speak with Miss Kieswetter about whether or not she would be getting paid between when you picked her up and when you expected her to pick her up.
No, we did not discuss that.
Okay. Presumably, she may not have been getting paid between those two times then.
Are you asking a question on that? Is you cut out?
You don't know. My question is, you don't know whether or not she was getting paid
No.
in the meantime.
No.
Okay. And presumably, if she wasn't getting paid, your solution didn't really help with the situation, did it?
Yes.
It did help with the situation. How was Oakley to be returned to her mother's then in your solution?
In my solution, I offered to meet because I already paid my child support on the 8th. Now it's not my fault why the processing fee takes 2 to 3 days. I did what she asked. She told me she could meet me if I paid my child support. I paid my child support. Now, whether it takes through 2 or 3 days is like the normal processing fee, that's out of my hands. But I tried to work with her, saying that maybe by the time I went and picked Oakley up on Friday, that my child support would hit her bank account by Saturday, that she would be able to have some money to be able to pick Oakley up on Sunday.
Mr. Kieswetter, did Caitlin ask you whether or not you'd be able to do all the transportation for that weekend?
She asked me, she pretty much told me that if I wanted my daughter, that I would have to come pick her up in Hayes on Friday and return her to her.
And you refused that offer, did you not?
Yes, I refused that.
Had you taken that offer, you could have had your child for that weekend, couldn't you have?
That is correct.
So why did you choose not having your child and driving the entire weekend over not negotiating with Miss Kieswetter over the matter?
Because we've had plenty of times in the past where she would not work with me at all. And I've worked with her and I've tried working with her and tried being reasonable with her, but she doesn't give me a reason or doesn't work with me. I try different ways. There's times where I've picked Oakley up in Hayes and returned her. Yes, I have done that. But am I supposed to do that every single time that she doesn't have money? I mean, I try to work with her and try to be civil with her, but there's got to be some giving on her part too. It's not me 110% all the way.
Mr. Kieswetter, what day of the month is your child support due?
I usually pay it around the 15th of the month. And if I do pay it sooner, I pay it sooner than the 15th.
I'm not asking you what day you pay it. I'm asking what day is it due?
It's just monthly. I pay it monthly.
Is it due the first of the month?
No, it's not. I've never been told that it has to be the first of the month because at my prior employment, when I worked for the city, if I had the city do it, they took the money and they held out on it and they didn't pay it till the end of the month. And I've had places where they paid it the half of it in my first 2 weeks. I worked at a job that did that. So she would get half of it the first 2 weeks of the month and the other half the last 2 weeks of the month. But since my prior employment, I've taken the initiative of paying my child support by myself and going online to the Camas Payment Center and paying it myself.
Is it your understanding that the order in this matter does not specify a day specific of the month?
That is correct. That is correct.
Are you aware that the statute then says that if a date specific is not specified, it is due the first of the month?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for a legal conclusion.
Sustained. It calls for a legal conclusion.
Mr. Kieswetter, you didn't pay your child support until the 8th of the month, did you?
Yes, I paid it on the 8th, November 8th. If that's what you're asking.
7 days after the 1st of the month, correct?
That would be correct.
And it takes a couple of days for child support money to process in the state for it to end up with Miss Kieswetter.
That would be correct.
Okay. The day you pay it isn't the day Miss Kieswetter receives it, is it?
That is correct.
And in fact, in this circumstance, Miss Kieswetter had not received your child support payment at that time.
That is correct.
And in fact, because she hadn't received that money, she didn't have money for gas.
That is correct.
And instead of you doing the transportation that weekend, you elected not to see your daughter.
That is correct.
Now, regarding this, the schedule for volleyball and basketball, when did Miss Kieswetter receive the schedule?
She for basketball. Are you asking specifically for volleyball or basketball?
I'm asking for both.
Okay, well, I do know that she's a coach of the basketball team. So as a coach of a basketball team, you would more than likely be the first one to receive the schedule. And then volleyball, she's also coaching volleyball. And I would assume that she would be the first one that is able to, that does some of the scheduling with games and tournaments and decides on that stuff. So the obvious person that would have the schedule would be one of the coaches.
Mr. Kieswetter, my question wasn't how involved Miss Kieswetter is in the team. My question for you was, when did she receive the schedule?
The schedule was sent for basketball that I know of, was sent before practices started.
What day?
Do what?
What day?
October, I believe October 15th, right around there is when I believe that Oakley had started basketball practice.
Okay. And you said you believe that. Do you know that?
I had to ask for the schedule from another parent a few days after
Okay.
that day, and I received the schedule from that parent. After I initially talked to Kate about it and asked her for the schedule, she did not supply it.
My question wasn't what you believe. My question was what you know. When do you know Miss Kieswetter received the schedule?
I asked her in October. I just don't know the exact date, if that's what you're asking.
So you don't know whether or not Miss Kieswetter sent it to you the same day she received it or not?
No.
So you don't know whether or not, in fact, Miss Kieswetter, in fact, violated the court order or not?
I previously asked her for the schedule. She did not have it and told me to get it from somebody else. So I reached out to another parent, just like in the same instance when Oakley played softball in Hayes. I had to get the schedule and find out information from other parents because she would not work with me and would not give it to me. After I specifically asked her if she would provide it to me, she did not give it to me. So I reached out to another parent. And once again, I got Oakley's schedule from another parent. I should be able to get it from her, but she doesn't provide it for me. And I specifically asked her for it.
But you don't know whether or not she even had the schedule at that point or not.
Yes.
You know for a fact she had the schedule at that point.
Yes.
How do you know that?
Because I asked her for it and then she ended up giving it to me a little bit later. But she didn't, after I received it from another parent.
Okay. So she did provide you the schedule.
At a later date, yes. Prior to, after the fact that Oakley started practices, after the fact.
Okay. But you don't know when it was that Miss Kieswetter received the schedule.
No.
So you don't know whether or not she violated this court order or not.
No.
I don't have any other questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Walter,
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Kieswetter, the order on doesn't regard when a schedule, the order from January 9, 2023 doesn't state about schedules or when schedules have to be provided, does it?
Correct.
The order states that a parent is not to enroll a minor child in activities that will occur during the other parent's parenting time without the consent of the other parent.
That's correct.
So had Oakley started basketball practice and been enrolled in basketball before you got the message on November 26, 2023?
That is correct.
Had Oakley been enrolled in volleyball before you got the message on November 26, 2023?
That is also correct.
And when you objected to it, did Ms. Kieswetter tell you that she was going to tell Oakley that you're the reason she can't participate in these activities?
That is correct.
Is that why you tried to enter this order, so that neither parent could be painted as the bad guy?
That is correct.
And is your parenting time contingent upon you paying child support in your
No.
orders?
No, it's not.
Have you paid your child support every month?
Yes, I have.
Do you know whether Ms. Kieswetter took a trip the weekend of November 18th?
Yes, I do.
Where did she take a
Objection,
trip?
Your Honor. Relevance outside the scope of direct examination.
overruled. You made it part by suggesting to the court she did not have the money. And if there's a reason she didn't have the money, that's relevant. Go ahead, Mr. Walter.
Did she make a trip on November 18th?
Yes, she did.
Where did she go to?
She went to the KSU-KU football game with Oakley.
And how far is Hayes, Kansas from Manhattan, Kansas?
I honestly don't know the distance. Probably 2.5 hours.
Farther than it is from Hayes, Kansas to Norton, Kansas?
That is correct.
Did Oakley tell you anything that she got at the K-State KU football game?
Yes, that is. She told me she got the one thing I remember her talking about was she got a t-shirt and she got some stuff, but that t-shirt's what she was talking to me about.
And did Miss Kieswetter tell you in her message on November 26th that told you about the basketball and the volleyball? Did she tell you that she didn't want to pay a whole bunch of money for Oakley to play if Oakley can't go?
That is correct.
And how much was the club volleyball?
That I'm not 100% sure on.
What did she tell you when you and her had the discussion?
When we had the discussion in September, she stated that it was $600 to do for 3 tournaments.
And do you know how much the traveling basketball was?
The schedule I got, it just had $80 on it. But I don't know as far as the schedule I received, there was some number amounts on it, but I believe is $80.
When Miss Kieswetter told you that she didn't have the gas money and she wanted you to come to Hayes, Kansas to pick up Oakley and also return Oakley to Hayes, Kansas, did she make any proposals to you to try and resolve that?
No.
Did she ever offer that the next trip that she would come all the way and make all the exchanges, come to Norton and drop Oakley off and come back to Norton to pick Oakley up?
No.
Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Recross, Mr. Herman.
Please, Your Honor. Mr. Kieswetter, did you ever suggest to Ms. Kieswetter that you do all the driving this time back in November and that she do it the next time?
No.
All you did was suggest that you come all the way to pick up Oakley and that she come pick her up when your
Yes.
visitation was over. Okay.
Yes.
You didn't offer any other solutions than that one. Did you offer any other solutions?
Yes.
What
The other solution that I offered was that I paid my child support.
Okay.
She was,
So, and we've talked about that. You paid your child support on the 8th,
yes,
and Miss Keyswetter hadn't received that child support payment yet.
that would be, I would assume that would be correct because that's out of my hands at that point.
Okay, and she even told you she hadn't received that payment yet.
That is correct.
Okay. Now, on this trip to Manhattan, do you know what, if anything, Miss Keyswetter paid for the trip?
That I do not, because I was not present.
You don't know whether or not someone else paid for tickets.
That I do not.
You don't know whether or not she or someone else paid for the gas to drive there.
That I do not.
You don't know whether or not someone else offered to pay for the food.
That is correct.
Okay. You don't know if Miss Keyswetter, for all you know, Miss Keyswetter didn't pay a single penny for this trip.
That is correct.
Okay. You never asked Miss Keyswetter.
No, I did not.
Okay. In fact, all the information you have regarding this comes from Oakley.
No.
Where else does the information come from?
What was your question?
Where else has the information come from other than Oakley?
Sometimes I find out some things from Snapchat, things that's been posted on Snapchat, whether it's from Oakley or Kate, because my family is friends with them on Snapchat, so I hear about it from another source. But a lot of the times it is Oakley. When Oakley is excited about it, she talks to me about it.
Okay, so you find out from Oakley, either on social media or in person, and you find out from family members that follow Miss Keyswetter on Snapchat.
That is correct.
Okay, and then anyone else you find out this from?
No.
Do you think it would be more beneficial if you and Miss Keyswetter discussed issues of confrontation more?
Yes, it would be.
Okay. And what efforts have you made to do that?
I've tried discussing with your client. I try to talk to her, but she's not ever given me a voice to stand on and is not allowed me to be a parent in any of the conversations. So when she wants to, it's her way or the highway, that Oakley is her daughter, when she discussed with me that Oakley is her daughter, not our daughter, and tell me how things are going to be and stuff like that, I usually check out of the conversation. I don't want to discuss it because it's going to create, it's not going to solve anything. It honestly is not going to solve anything. We've been there and have had conversations and try to discuss things and try to work things. There's times where if she wants me to agree to something and I agree to it, things go smoothly. But as soon as I don't agree to it, it creates a problem, and the problem never gets settled and communicated civilly. I usually check out of the conversation because it's not going anywhere, and I'm not going to sit there and argue with her. And especially, it seems like more times than not, when she wants to have these conversations is when I have Oakley on my parenting time. And I'm not going to spend all my parenting time fighting with her while I should be spending it with my daughter. And because that's more important to me.
Have you ever spoken with Miss Keyswetter about the fact that referring to Oakley as her daughter as opposed to collectively your daughter offends you?
Yes.
When?
In text messages, I've stated there's been times, not on the app, but there's times prior in the past that I have stated that it's our daughter, not her daughter.
Does Ms. Kieswetter acknowledge that it's your daughter as well?
That would be a question you would have to ask her, because from my end, that when we discuss and try to be parent, just like the COVID shot, I tried to talk to her and tell her that I didn't want Oakley having the COVID shot. She told me that it's her decision, that Oakley's going to get the COVID shot if the Dr. Pope recommends it. So right there, I had a conversation that I said to her that I did not want to have Oakley get the COVID shot, but she said that if the doctor says it, that Oakley needs the COVID shot, Oakley's getting the COVID shot. So I stated my stance on just that situation, and she shut me down like I wasn't a parent. She didn't acknowledge that I had a say in the matter when it comes to anything with Oakley that I should be discussed with or advised or told what's going on. I have a right to have a word in how we are going to parent Oakley.
With your example with the COVID shot, did you tell Ms. Kieswetter why you objected to it?
Yes.
What did you tell her?
That I did not want Oakley to get the COVID shot.
Yeah, but my question was, why didn't you want her to get it?
She never asked me for why I did not want her to have it. So
And
I didn't state it to her.
And you didn't provide an explanation either.
No, I did not. Because during the conversation that we had together, it was pretty much she's getting the COVID shot if Dr. Pope tells her she's getting the COVID shot. So instead of sitting there and arguing with your client over and over and spending 8 hours a day arguing with her, I choose to check out of the conversation because it's not going anywhere.
Mr. Kieswetter, you're aware that conversation's a two-way street, aren't you?
It is. That is correct.
And it requires communication on both parties' part.
That is correct.
Okay. You can't have someone dictating what's going to happen in every situation without the input from the other.
That is correct.
Okay. But at the same time, you can't have one individual checking out from the conversation either.
That is correct.
Okay. So you're as much to blame in this as Ms. Kieswetter is.
No.
You're not as much to blame.
No.
Okay. You've testified here that you've checked out in conversations with her.
Yes.
Okay. And you've testified that that's not conducive to proper communication between the parties.
That's correct.
But Ms. Kieswetter's more to blame than you are.
That is correct.
Okay. And in fact, you're the victim in all this?
That is correct. Actually, Oakley's the victim in this whole thing. Not me. It didn't matter about me with my daughter. When she's with me or with Kate, it doesn't matter. She is the one that gets put through this. She's the one that loses no matter what happens. She's the one that feels this. She's the one that when we do argue, whether she never hears it, but she feels it, she knows it. She's the only one that loses this entire situation.
And that's entirely Caitlin's fault, isn't it?
That is correct.
Okay. No other questions.
Do you have any other witnesses, Mr. Walter?
I'd call Caitlin Kieswetter, Your Honor.
Caitlin, would you raise your right hand, please? You solemnly swear or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, subject to the penalties for perjury in the state of Kansas.
I will.
Thank you. Are you currently in the state of Kansas?
Yes.
Thank you. You can put your hand down. Go ahead, Mr. Walter.
Ms. Kieswetter, do you agree with the testimony you heard from Mr. Kieswetter regarding his parenting time and the modifications that you've made to it?
Do I agree to his testimony about all the things? Is that what you're asking?
Mr. Walter, Mr. Walter, that's way too broad a question, and even if she tried to answer it, I would have no idea what she's answering to. You need to specifically ask about the incidences,
What
not
I'm,
a shotgun approach.
Your Honor, I'm not trying to have a shotgun approach. I asked if she heard his testimony regarding what Mr. Keyswetter's parenting time is under the agreement and the modifications that they've made to it, just to make sure she agrees that he's having parenting time every other weekend and not the 3 weekends. And they made that modification in 2018.
I agree that he has parenting time every other weekend.
And do you agree that it was his parenting time November 10, 2023 through November 12, 2023?
I agree.
And do you agree that you told him that you didn't have money and that you wouldn't be able to transport Oakley for his parenting time?
To an extent, I notified him on November 7th. It came from me to let him know that I wasn't going to be able to do that and we needed to make arrangements. And then that's when he submitted his child support and said that basically I either had to pick her up one way or nothing.
And did you tell
And
him,
then he did not follow up and notify me that he was not coming to get her.
did you tell him that if he paid his child support that you could meet him at 5:30?
I told him that if I received his child support, I would be able to meet him.
Ms. Keyswetter, I'm going to show you a copy of your messages with Mr. Keyswetter. Your Honor, if I may share my screen.
You may.
Ms. Keyswetter, can you see the message from you from November 9, 2023 at 9:10 a.m.? Do you see that?
Yes.
And it starts with, well, I won't be there.
Correct.
And what does it say?
If you can send your child support so I have some gas money, maybe I can swing the 5:30 time. Otherwise, I don't have the money to transport her. Sorry.
It doesn't say if I receive it, it says if you can send it, correct?
Correct.
And what did Mr. Keyswetter respond to on November 9 at 2:30 p.m.?
I paid my child support on the 8th of November. I'll be in Hill City tomorrow, the 10th at 5:30.
And did you meet him at the 10th at 5:30?
No,
Is there anywhere in the mediation agreement or any other order that says that Mr. Keyswetter's parenting time is contingent upon him paying child support to you?
no,
Ms. Keyswetter, do you agree that there was a child support order that was filed with the court on November 17, 2023?
I don't know the exact date, but there was a support modification. Yes.
And do you agree that your income on that child support order is $66,216?
Which was from a previous job. Yes.
You agree that that's what the child support order says your income is?
I'm sorry.
You agree that that's what the child support order says your income is?
No, I don't agree because I already submitted the stuff that says it was modified due to my job.
I'm asking you, do you agree that the child support order that was submitted on November 17, 2023 says that your income is $66,216? Do you agree that that's what the court set it at when modifying the child support?
Yes.
Okay. Did you go to Manhattan, Kansas on November 18, 2023?
Yes.
Did you drive there?
No.
Who drove you?
My boyfriend.
Okay. Did you pay for anything during that trip?
No.
Okay. Do you agree that Mr. Keyswetter had paid all of his child support every single month up until November of 2023?
No. His modification was not paid.
When was that modification filed?
I don't know the date.
So you don't know whether or not he had paid all of his child support then. Is that correct or incorrect?
I can't confirm or deny because I don't have that information.
Okay. Had you received child support from Mr. Kieswetter every month up until November 2023?
I don't know about every month. I'm not going to confirm or deny that either.
Okay. Did you ever offer any solution to Mr. Kieswetter for the fact that you couldn't afford to drive and provide transportation?
Mm, no, I don't believe so, other than, discussing with him that multiple times I've driven to Norton to get Oakley after softball games after I didn't agree to something he enrolled her in and brought her all the way back myself. So I have transported her multiple times.
My question is, did you offer anything to Mr. Kieswetter in your conversations from November 7th to November 10th?
The notification that I wouldn't be able to transport her. That was it.
Did you provide any solution other than him providing all the transportation?
No.
When did Oakley start basketball tryouts for the traveling team?
I don't remember the date.
Was it November 26th?
I don't remember the date.
Was it in October of 2023?
Maybe the end of October. I was busy. I wasn't coaching her team originally. I'm not even the head coach. I don't remember the date.
You don't have any clue.
I do not remember when basketball practice started for her.
Was it November of 2023?
I don't remember either October or November. I do not know the date, Mr. Walter.
When did you get the schedule for basketball?
I don't remember.
Was it November 26th, 2023? Or was it before?
I don't remember. I have a lot of things going on in my life.
Would it have been the same time that all the other parents would have received the schedule?
Mm,
Is there?
I don't know. I wasn't involved, like I said, originally, because I had other things going on. So they may have discussed some dates, but nothing was set in stone. I don't do any of that.
But when the schedule would have been set in stone, is there any reason why you would have received the schedule later than any other parent?
Probably not.
When did Oakley start volleyball tryouts?
Mr. Walter, let me interrupt you for just a minute. We have 5 minutes left. And obviously, we're not going to finish this hearing in 5 minutes. How long do you anticipate needing for your direct exam, Mr. Walter?
I'm almost done, Your Honor.
How much time are you going to need for cross-exam, Mr. Herman?
More than 5 minutes for sure, Your Honor.
Okay. Do we need to find an additional half hour, an additional hour, or an additional 90 minutes?
I'd say 90 minutes.
Mr. Walter?
That goes to Mr. Herman. I have, like I said, I'm almost done with my direct examination, so it depends on the amount of time that he's going to spend questioning his client.
Mr. Herman, you're wanting 90 additional minutes?
I think that's probably what we need at this point, Your Honor. It sounds like we have a lot we need to unpack here on cross-examination.
Okay. Well, I propose we spend our time finding that additional 90 minutes. What do we got, Jess?
Judge, you have time tomorrow afternoon. You had a hearing that has resolved itself.
I'm available, Your Honor.
I have a prelim tomorrow afternoon.
Then Judge, it's going to be the week of January 29th.
What time's your prelim tomorrow, Mr. Herman?
It's at 2 o'clock.
How long is it scheduled for?
It's scheduled for 2 hours. I have an appointment after it also.
Jess, what do you have then? After, you said the week of the 29th?
Yes, Judge, you would have time the morning of January 30th. You currently have the 31st. You were supposed to be in an all-day hearing that has resolved itself.
Okay,
I'm available both days, Your Honor. The only time I'm not available the 31st is at 10 a.m., maybe between 10 and 11.
30th would work much better for me than the 31st, Your Honor.
morning of the 30th?
Judge, you could start at 9 o'clock on the 30th.
That works for me.
That works for me as well, Your Honor.
Hey, January 30th, 9 a.m. And Mr. Walter, if you can just start over if you need to at that time on her direct testimony, okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
I've got my notes, but if you need to just start over so there's a good flow to it, that's fine.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay? Okay, we will pick this up then on January 30th at 9 o'clock.
Thanks, Judge.
Thank you,
Okay.
Your Honor.
Thank you all.